Welcome, everyone. Happy Peace Corps Week 2023. Thank you for joining today's webinar celebrating Peace Corps' 62nd year of existence and its 30th anniversary in the Kyrgyz Republic. My name is Hoyt Yi, and I'm the Peace Corps Country Director in the Kyrgyz Republic. The goal of this webinar is to highlight the connections the Peace Corps has helped forge between America and Kyrgyzstan since 1993. We hope to make some new connections today as well, including with future volunteers. Are any of you considering joining the Peace Corps? Raise your hand. 1, 2, okay, about 50, that's great. A couple logistical points before we get started. If any of the participants have questions, please type them in the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel at the bottom of the screen. And if you've got any comments, you can type those also in Q&A, and just let us know if you're having any issues. We'll try to address them. So, for example, if you have a question, how do I join the Peace Corps? Type that in the Q&A box, and we'll answer. We'll send you a link and instructions. That might indeed be the default answer to all the questions. Not really. We will get you the answers to all your questions as well as we can. Now, over to Aysulu, our Executive and Communications Assistant. Aysulu.
Thank you, Hoyt. I appreciate the introduction. And I'm going with an overview. Kyrgyzstan is located in the heart of Central Asia and has high mountains, glaciers, alpine pastures, lakes, and lush river valleys. Over 1,300 Peace Corps volunteers have served in the Kyrgyz Republic since 1993. There are currently 11 volunteers in the Kyrgyz Republic, and the next cohort is arriving in June. They are helping build the capacity of English teachers by co-teaching in rural secondary areas. The volunteers also help students learn English and new skills through summer camps, trainings, clubs, and sports. And we are currently accepting applications for volunteer positions for starting in June 2024. Apply now, it's time to act, apply for Peace Corps. Here are our social media accounts. Hoyt.
Okay, I think now we're ready for a short video. I think Tarat was going to show us a video. All right, we'll just move on
okay,
then.
I'm sharing.
I hope that we can connect with volunteers through a method of teaching, because I noticed that our children, they are tired of our usual teaching. They want something new, something unusual, and with the coming of volunteer, they will have another inspiration.
I think education is an incredibly empowering thing, and one of my favorite things to see as a teacher is students' eyes light up when they think about what they could do. When people see their own potential, that makes me super happy.
Thanks for that video, Aysulu. And if you liked seeing John in that video, you'll love seeing him live. And we are going to hear from some current and former volunteers and teachers and students, starting with current volunteer John Murphy, who lives and is serving in the Naryn region. John, over to you.
Thanks, White. Can you hear me okay?
John, just to pause a sec. We seem to have your video, your audio is
All right.
very low.
Morning, everybody here in Kyrgyzstan, and I guess good evening, everyone back home in the US. My name is volunteer in the Naran. Okay, cool. So I'm a volunteer in the Naran region of Kyrgyzstan, and today I'd like to share just two quick things. The first is a little bit about how I ended up working here, and the second is about what currently, interests me and inspires me in my work. So I actually came to Kyrgyzstan for the first time in 2019 as part of the K-27 cohort, but unfortunately, after just 9 months of working here, I had to return to the US due to the COVID pandemic. When I left, I wasn't sure I'd ever have the chance to come back. So when an opportunity to return not only to Kyrgyzstan, but to the same village and host family and community that I worked in before, I was really, really happy to have a chance to kind of come back and finish what I started. And that takes me to the second
John,
part, which is what
sorry to
I'm
interrupt
excited
again, John.
about and inspired about.
The audio is breaking up. John, could I suggest you turn off your audio? We love seeing you, of course, but if you could turn off your video, I think might come across. Why don't you try again, John?
Sure thing. Can you hear me okay or not?
It's
anymore?
great. That's great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Where did it cut out?
Just as you were saying, you came back after being had to be evacuated.
Yeah. So I came back, and it's been great to come back to my community and my host family here, and now thankfully I've had a chance to finish some of the work, or at least start working on some things that were interrupted by the pen. And right now, for example, I'm working with people in my community to write a grant to get some textbooks, and really reward to write grants, and how to manage projects. But most importantly, it's been absolutely, kind of jaw-dropping to see the support from the community, both for me as a volunteer and, more importantly, for the students at the school. It's amazing how invested everybody is in helping the students learn English and really achieve, their potential and work towards their goals and dreams. So in short, I'm really happy to be back, and I highly recommend it. All right, that's it.
John, thanks. That was fantastic. Thanks very much. Over to you, Isalu.
Thank you so much, John. I now invite K-26 cohort return Peace Corps volunteer Donna Marie, and her host sister Asolzad.
Good morning and good day, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. One way I keep connections with my host family is to celebrate their birthdays with videos. I send videos of where and how I live in New Mexico, while my host family father sends me videos from his horse on the hills above our village. We think about each other and we tell our stories in our home communities. My sister Asolzad now studies at Osh University, and she told me the moment we met that her dream was to be a translator, and she's been working towards that goal ever since. Asolzad began as a shy student, but I've watched her confidence grow exponentially, forming healthy life skills as a young adult that will help her family and community. It's deeply satisfying to witness. Now here's Asolzad.
Hello, everyone. My name is Asolzad. I have gained more understanding of who I am than even before in my life. That's how the Peace Corps has made significant changes in my life. And Donna Marie is not just a wise mentor. It not just a teacher, but a wise mentor and devoted friend who transferred her experience, skills, and abilities. My life definitely got a little harder after Donna Maar left for New Mexico. And because we always chatted with each other, we cooked food together. And I haven't given up on English. I really like English, and I thought English was too difficult for me, and but I was learning it every day through conversation, through communication. And when we heard that a volunteer would come, I promised myself that this would be the best result, and it has become a dream for me and for the future. We held weekly classes. We learned English and music translation, American culture, as well as English use in real life. I overcame fear of tests, exams, and competing in Olympiads. The atmosphere created in the classroom was always joyful and supportive. This friendship, the light of knowledge, and vivid memories. This experience of volunteering will remain a very positive memory, a wonderful life experience, and enriching connection.
So you can see how big I'm smiling right now.
Thank you so
My
much.
students and I walked in the village, talked about the ditch water's origin, its destination, the cycle that brings it back to where we stood. Kids in landlocked Kyrgyzstan easily understand real connections as humans in our shared earth. Getting a chance to go home last May was really like going home. Our connections remain strong. And I am dreaming about my next trip to Kyrgyzstan, which includes horses, songs and dances in Jailo, inshallah. Chong Rahmat.
John Dana and Asalzad, thank you for that amazing story and the beautiful photographs. And we hope your next visit, Donna, will include a visit to our office as well. Next up is Christian KG Moore, a returned Peace Corps volunteer who served in Romania and is now in Bishkek at the U.S. Embassy, serving as the political and economics chief. KG, over to you.
Okay.
KG, are you, you're not muted. We don't hear you. Let's see. Isalu, is there a way we could remote unmute KG?
He's unmuted, he has audio problems.
KG, can you, if you can hear us, put a thumbs up. Can you hear us? Okay, so we can't hear you. So we're gonna have to switch to sign language, or you're gonna have to check your audio. Is there anything? Let's give you a few seconds while you just check. Do you have a headset maybe you can plug in? You look great, by the way, KG. Just seeing you is enough. Why don't we do this? KG, could you fiddle around with your technology there, get one of your many assistants to help you? And we're gonna skip down to our next presenter, and that's Ada. Aysulu, do you want to introduce Ada?
Sure. Ada is our current Peace Corps volunteer. She serves in Narin. Over to you, Ada.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to turn off my video because I live very close to John, so there's a chance my video could cut out. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, nice to see everyone. So I'm Ada. I'm currently serving in the Narin region in the Kyrgyz Republic. It's considered sort of the most traditionally Kyrgyz of all the regions. And I originally was actually planning to do Peace Corps China before the COVID pandemic happened. And then after a lot of thinking, I decided to do the Kyrgyz Republic instead. And it was such a great decision. I would say in terms of my current experience, the hospitality here has been so amazing. There's just such a culture of welcoming people and just being so accepting of everyone. And teaching here, you can really feel the students they just get so much more interested when they see different teaching methods and when they get a chance to know you and actually see like a foreigner, often for the first time in certain areas. And in terms of Peace Corps itself, I would say it's such an amazing opportunity. And if I have any advice for future volunteers, it would be, if you ever have the opportunity to do anything or like meet anyone, just say yes to everything you possibly can. Like everything you have a chance to do, I would recommend you try to do it, because you'll just, any chance for like cultural immersion or meeting new people, it's just always so great. And in terms of like different sites, every host family is different, and everything you do will always be a different experience from every other volunteer. So it's tough to even really compare. And my own personal family, my host mom actually recently had a baby. So that's been really exciting, because I've been around for like the birth of this new baby and being able to see all the different Kyrgyz traditions for what happens when a baby is born. So it's been very exciting, and just so many guests coming over and different people. So for future volunteers coming here, I would say just, yeah, be open to try anything, be really like, enthusiastic about all the different opportunities you have. And if you make the most of it, service is great. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ada. That's fantastic advice for current, future, past, and aspiring volunteers. So thanks very much. Next, I want to invite another U.S. Embassy stalwart, Nolan Johnson, returned Peace Corps volunteer who served in Mozambique and is now a public diplomacy officer at the U.S. Embassy, who's tuning in, I believe, from an undisclosed location, even while he's on leave. We really, really appreciate it, Nolan. Go ahead.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks so much for inviting me, Hoy. Thanks for organizing this, Aisulu. I'm just going to be very brief. I love Peace Corps. I served in Mozambique, and I want to talk about something very important, which is eating for America. Now, when you get overseas as a Peace Corps volunteer, you will eat so much amazing food. The food in Mozambique is generally incredible. They put coconut milk and everything. They make these incredible curries. You should watch the Anthony Bourdain episode about Mozambique. But in Peace Corps, you will also eat things that you don't really want to, because you, in a sense, are diplomat for America, and you are representing your country, and you do not want to offend your host. So when I was in Mozambique, I had the chance, the opportunity, the privilege to eat a pig's nose. Yes, I ate that pig's nose because I love America. Now, here in the Kyrgyz Republic, the tradition has continued. Now I'm a U.S. diplomat. And again, I meet with, everything from, kids to, TV station directors. And for instance, at one of those meetings with a TV station director, I had the privilege, again, of eating the goat's eye. Because that is a symbol of us seeing one another more often. And so I got to eat the goat's eye. I got to eat that pure fat from the sheep's butt, which is the delicacy that is served to the chief guest at major ceremonies. So what I'm telling you is, get ready to eat for America. It's one of the great perks of the job and the Peace Corps, and I hope that you all strongly consider joining. It was one of the best experiences of my life. Thanks everyone for having me today, and good luck.
Great story, Nolan. Thank you so much. Now I would like to introduce counterpart Asel Omorkazi, who works with K26 Peace Corps returned volunteer Travis Richardson in Naren region. Asel, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Altanay. I have worked with Travis Richardson. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah. My name is Altanay. I have worked with Travis Richardson in 2017 and 19, and I had a great experience working with Peace Corps volunteer. We had successfully completed our 2 years, and I can surely say that I had a lot of experience in teaching methodology We enjoyed our teaching as a counterpart for 2 years, and that's it.
Thanks, Altanai, and the photos are
Yeah.
lovely. We really appreciate you participating and sharing those photos. All right, let's turn to a current Peace Corps volunteer, David Eldred, who's serving in the Chui region. David, over to you.
Hello, everyone. So I've been making some notes that's been going on. I didn't have anything prepared. Like Ada, the pandemic changed a lot of things for me. I was invited to and had gone through the full process of going to Peace Corps Ukraine, and we all know that that isn't going to happen. So Peace Corps asked me where I'd like to go, and I said Central Asia. And then lo and behold, sometime later, I was invited to Kyrgyz Republic. Also, like Ada, I get to see things, unique events. Like she lives with a family that just had a baby. I just got to, just a few days ago, see a host grandson make its first steps, which was pretty special. I got a video of it. I volunteer at a school of about 1,100 students, which is pretty large for this cohort. And I work with a couple counterparts, one of which is, I think, is on this call, not as a panelist, but listening in. Her name is Aaliyah. Hi, Aaliyah. And she's especially open to working with a volunteer. It's something that she has fully embraced the Peace Corps method of doing things. Like Nolan said, when you come to another country, you often try very unique things, unique foods. And one thing that's pretty common in Kyrgyzstan is fermented things. So if you volunteer, you'll get to eat a lot of and drink a lot of fermented things, like fermented balls, a dairy product called karut. You've got a fermented horse milk called kamiz, a fermented like wheat drink called shoro rather. So if those who out there who are volunteering are interested in unique flavors, definitely select Kyrgyz Republic as one of the places you want to go. And those also who are considering volunteering, Peace Corps is very unique. And I doubt there are other volunteering experiences that are like Peace Corps, because as a Peace Corps volunteer, you are sent to a community and you are sent, you're not with a team of other Peace Corps volunteers that go to that community. So in that community, you're like a celebrity almost, and everybody gets to know you. When you walk down the streets, everybody says hi, everybody comes up, shakes your hand, because of how unique you are in that community, which is special in its own way. It's not what I expected when I thought of what the Peace Corps was like before I decided to volunteer. And also living with a host family is amazing. If you see on the screen right now, that's me with my host sister Zainab and host brother Rahman, and the other photo is me with my counterpart Aliyah, and she's currently a university student, and she goes to university in the morning and teaches in the afternoon. Other photos you see me with my students, see me teaching. As you can see, I'm very happy. It's easy to be pretty happy when you're around so many people and so many students that want you there. Students are very excited to see you. Every day, students are excited to see you. They never get used to, you never become old. Old hat, I guess you would say, to the students. They're constantly excited and constantly cheerful when you show up.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
David, for sharing your experience. I now invite
Welcome.
K10.
I salute, sorry to interrupt, just one second. I
Sure.
know before we go to Gina, KG Moore thinks he's solved his video problem, that he wants to prove that State Department political officers can actually use technology. So KG, this is your chance. Don't blow it.
Did it work? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
you have 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'll use my 20 seconds quickly. Sorry about that. Yeah, so what can I say? Peace Corps, for all of you out there thinking about applying, Peace Corps really changed the trajectory of my life, and I mean that seriously. I grew up in the same town, same people. We never traveled anywhere outside of the immediate vicinity. And when I landed in Transylvania, in the middle of the heart of Romania, in 1995, it really blew my mind. And it started with sitting on the end of the bed with my host family, my host mother, my host father, and host daughter, eating mamaliga, this grits concoction with eggs and butter, and watching episodes one after the other of Knight Rider. And so that sounds really weird, but it was a kind of a defining moment, because I knew that I was accepted and part of that family almost immediately. And that's how I felt in my community. So, you know, part of what you're doing is building bridges, and then part of what you're doing is providing skills and experience with your counterpart at your school. But I think most volunteers might say, I don't know, it was the case for me. I definitely got more out of it than I felt like I gave, even through secondary projects, you know, working in environmental remediation. Transitioning to Kyrgyzstan, so Peace Corps Romania, you know, it led me to new places, law school, then into some work, and then back into traveling with the State Department. Here I am in Kyrgyzstan. Teaching English in Kyrgyzstan, it matters. So you're not only building bridges with communities here, but it is a skill that is highly in demand, highly desired, related to not only educational development, but economic development. So what you are doing here really is making a difference on the practical side. And if you like mountains like I do, there's really no better place to be than the Kyrgyz Republic. Not to mention, you know, being in the heart of the so-called Silk Road, and just being embraced by this incredible, amazing culture. So with that, I hope you give it a good hard look. If you're thinking about it, you won't be sorry. Whether in the Kyrgyz, we'd like you to come to the Kyrgyz Republic, but Peace Corps in general is something I can assure you you'll never regret. Thanks.
Thank you, KG. Congratulations, and thanks for that. That was fantastic. Okay, let's go to Gina.
Oh, good evening, everyone. I was a volunteer in 2002 until 2004, a K-10. I was a little bit different than the rest of my volunteers I served with, in that I joined the Peace Corps at 30. I already had a little bit of a career in social services behind me, and was needing a break from working for the Department of Children and Families and foster care and really heartbreaking work every day. And I joined the Peace Corps, and I was supposed to be going to the Russian Far East, and 6 weeks before we were scheduled to leave, half of us did not have visas extended to us. So I had already left my job and was back home with my parents at 30, and said, okay, find me someplace to go. And they said Kyrgyzstan, and I said, okay. And it ended up being the most incredible experience of my life, and it really shaped the rest of my life. I returned to the US. I'm from Orlando, Florida, and we have a really diverse, rich population here in Central Florida. And an organization I had volunteered with, the Adult Literacy League, was looking for someone to start an ESOL program. And I was a perfect fit, and I've been there ever since. So about almost 20 years now with the Adult Literacy League. I still use the Russian that I learned every single day. We have a lot of Russian and Ukrainian and Moldovan immigrants here in Central Florida. I have two of my students from my high school or secondary school where I taught in Chilpanatah now live here in Orlando and work for Disney. It's just it's touched every aspect of my life. My host family is like my real family. Most days I like them much more than I like my real family. So I've remained in touch with so many friends, and it shaped my life and my career. And I'm still in social services, but doing something so positive and so fun, teaching adults to read and write and speak English every day.
Gina, thank you. That's wonderful. And the photos are fantastic. I love the one of you fishing. I want to go now to another returned Peace Corps volunteer, Steve Ryder, who served in Uzbekistan and is now the management officer at the U.S. Embassy in Bishkek. Steve, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Hey, actually, I thought Gina made a really interesting point where she says she's using her Russian every day. I wanted to point out to everybody that Peace Corps provides you with the tools that you need to be able to do the jobs they're asking you to do. And one of those includes language and language opportunities. They make sure that you have the language skills that you need to be able to do the things that you're doing, including living in your community. And when I was in Peace Corps Uzbekistan, my wife and I used the Uzbek and the Russian every day. We came in with the Russian, but we were asked to make sure that we learned the Uzbek that everybody else was learning too. And we used all of those all the time. And to be honest, here in Kyrgyzstan, I still use my Uzbek nearly every week. My wife uses it even more often. Going to the bazaar just to buy food here, you can buy food using Uzbek. It's close enough to Kyrgyz as a language that we can shop in the bazaars and use it for that. To be honest, and I just told Hoyt this story not long ago, I'm actually in the Foreign Service working for the State Department because of the language skills that Peace Corps gave. When Hillary Clinton was coming through Central Asia, when I was a Peace Corps volunteer, they needed lots and lots of people to come in and help. They brought people from all over the world to help with the visit. But they didn't have any of those people who they brought in from all over the world didn't speak the local language, and Peace Corps did. And so they asked Peace Corps volunteers to be part of that visit. And so my wife and I actually worked a First Lady's visit in Central Asia, helping out with the language, helping out with the projects that were available. And at the end of it, I actually had people saying, well, you should join the Foreign Service. And I said, well, how do you do that? So the opportunity was something that I would not have run across if I had just been staying at home in the small town that we were in Minnesota instead. So just a reminder that Peace Corps' language and other skill building is useful for a lot of different things, and you will find yourself going places you might not have expected having them.
Great story, Stephen. Thanks so much. All right. I understand that Andy and Maya are not quite ready to join. So Dr. Nadal, I hope you're ready. Dr. Nadal is a returned Peace Corps volunteer who served in Mauritania, and he has ascended now to the lofty rank of Centers for Disease Control Country Director in Kyrgyzstan. Over to you, Patrick.
Hey, Hoyt, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for the kind introduction. I think I have the luxury of being able to follow on some great introductions. I think what I would say is, when I look at my life and my career, I think a little bit about what would be if I had not done Peace Corps, or what would I be if I had done Peace Corps. And if I hadn't done Peace Corps, I truly do not believe I would have had what I believe is the most authentic experience that you can have in engaging with a global local community. There's really nothing that can replicate being dropped off in a village and having the truck drive away, and that sense of excitement and dread kind of coming upon you, but for a long period of time, for 2+ years. And I think that's a positive thing. I think that it is, I use the term authentic not lightly, because I think it is the truest experience you can have with engaging with a local community. And like Steve and others have said, learning the local language, like Nolan eloquently said, eating the food and eating the variety of food, getting sick, recovering. It's a sense of experience that I think cannot possibly be replicated. So I was in Mauritania, which is about as far from a setting like Kyrgyzstan as you can possibly get, in West Africa in the Saharan Desert. But I throughout my entire career overseas, one of the first things you're able to do is connect with return volunteers, connect with existing volunteers. You have that sense of community that, again, I think is probably not replicatable outside of maybe a wartime setting, if that makes any sense at all. I've been able to apply that experience that I got by giving vaccines in villages, digging wells, working in a small dispensaire or health clinic at the very smallest level. And that has always been a grounding for me as I've developed my career over time and continue to work with CEC. I will say again, one of the first things I do when I come to countries is try to connect with the volunteers and learn from them. I will say if anybody's interested in working in health, public health, epidemiology, I think the Peace Corps is an amazing opportunity to kind of see that experience, see that on the ground reality of public health at that community level. And I think it does serve as an incredible foundation and grounding for you as you potentially move through your career in life. Just quickly, in terms of Kyrgyzstan, it's an amazing country as I'm based here. Truly, truly unique, an amazing part of the world. So much history, such a warm, loving, amazing people. Geography, topography are absolutely amazing. So again, if you're interested in the Peace Corps overall, absolutely thumbs up. If you're interested in Peace Corps Central Asia and Kyrgyzstan, absolutely thumbs up. I'm happy to follow up and talk with anybody individually. But again, thanks for the opportunity, and it's really great to see everybody on the call. Over.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Now I invite K26 Return Peace Corps volunteer Cody Arrigo. Cody.
Hi, everyone. Good morning to people in Kyrgyzstan. Good evening to everyone in the US. My counterpart was supposed to log in and I was helping her log in. I don't think she got on the call and I feel really bad, but this is just like being in Peace Corps again and us working with technology together. So many memories. I'm so happy to be here and talk about my own experience, kind of to echo what Patrick and David were saying about really inheriting a whole village and you're kind of off on your own. And then what Patrick had said about just not knowing what his life would be like had he not joined Peace Corps. Both of those comments really resonated with me personally. My life was at a crossroads, kind of graduating with an education degree and not wanting to teach in the US. And I saw that Peace Corps was hiring for a bunch of countries that I'd heard about. And then Kyrgyzstan was one country I'd never heard of. And I said, I want to go there. And it's that feeling of adventure, but also fear. And as I think Patrick had said, kind of getting dropped off in a village. And I was the same way. I was thinking to myself, what did I do? But it was so amazing. People say it's the hardest job you'll ever love. But I still feel that if there was one word I could say, it would be enduring or just committed. I was lucky enough. I served from 2018 to 2020. Unfortunately, I did not finish my full 2 years. I was sent home about 6 months short of my COS date because of COVID. And then I just started working. I knew I wanted to get a master's in public policy with an international specialization, which is where I'm finishing up right now. But I worked for a year after coming home from COVID. I worked for a year to save money. I lived in my mom's basement and just worked every day, first with the grocery store, then with government, with the Department of Labor and helping people with their unemployment insurance. And I had enough money to go back to Kyrgyzstan in summer of 2021, right before starting in grad school. So now I'm here at the University of Maryland, finishing up my last semester, but I was lucky enough to go back to see my host family, and they had such an impact on me. My host brother, I never had a brother growing up. I had a sister, but he and I are still somewhat in contact every 6 months. And the fact that I promised him I would come back and see him to have more like closure, since I had to leave so unexpectedly in March of 2020. And I got to go back and see him and like fulfill that promise. And Estelle, now that I still don't think she's on the call, but Estelle is in California on a teaching excellence achievement T program that the State Department funds. And I'm so proud of her. She has worked so hard, and I really can't wait to see her in DC in 2 weeks. She'll get to see me and my family. So that's all I have to say, but thank you for letting me speak. And Yeah, Peace Corps is a wonderful program. I really recommend people doing it. Thanks.
Thank you, Cody, for the great story and the photos also. Next, I want to turn to Return Peace Corps volunteer Drake Mayo. Drake, you're on.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Drake Mayo, K21. Good to see some of the faces in here. It's wild. It's been a while since I've seen some of you guys, but I'll keep it fast. I know I have about 2 minutes or so, but I'm honored to be here today to talk about my experience with Peace Corps and how it's helped me connect with Kyrgyzstan in so many different ways. I have to say, probably the most important thing would be language that allowed me to connect with Kyrgyzstan, and everybody so far has said so many things that I also feel so connected with in terms of learning local language and culture, and the experience is probably like nothing you'll ever do. For me, language was a really big thing. Whether you're learning Kyrgyz or Russian, I found that having some knowledge of the local language really spoke volumes to what you can accomplish, from building relationships to creating some lasting impact in the community. I was able to do some things that I didn't think that it was possible. And, especially comes in handy if you can have a sense of humor, making jokes. And, it's always good to know how to ask, how to get to the toilet, where is the closest toilet, or can I have a second helping of that food? Or maybe you don't want a second helping of the food and you need to let people know you're done. So those things come in handy. But, I would say for me, with my background, if you're, thinking about Peace Corps and, language maybe seems a little bit intimidating, please don't be intimidated. Peace Corps has been doing this for years. They know how to get you to a level that you can be successful. Someone said they give you the tools that you need. I totally agree with that. And if you want to take it a little bit further, that, whatever you put into language, you'll get right back out of it. And I would say that, for me, I studied, I think, Spanish for 4 years in like high school and college. I got to Peace Corps Kyrgyzstan, and I think I was a terrible language learner. I was probably like the worst in my group in Kyrgyz, like horrible. And, I really took the time to put a little more effort, well, a lot more effort in. And, I started learning Russian and led to different opportunities. I wound up staying in Kyrgyzstan for about 4.5 years. And I wound up working with some of the people on this call as colleagues, not just, I became staff as well, doing PR and communications work. And from there, I went to Ukraine, and from there, did some work well, I'm in DC now. I did work with different NGOs, and now I'm working at Google. It's just been a long path. And I really think that language sounds kind of crazy, that it's kind of been the heart of where some of my successes have come from, and through Peace Corps. And I'll say one last piece, I kind of close out here, is that, I think even if your skill level, whatever your skill level is, just the effort that you put in, just trying to speaks volumes. People really just appreciate, that you're even trying to learn the culture, taking the time to learn the language. That people love it. And it's ultimate sign of respect, in my opinion. And then, just through the language learning, I've been able to build connections and relationships with people that, and do things I just didn't think would be possible. The friendships I made during my time in Kyrgyzstan will stay with me for a lifetime. And I actually met with Sultanat. She came to, one of the staff members in Peace Corps Kyrgyzstan came to DC recently, and we all went to a basketball game together. It was a great time. I hadn't seen her in 5 years, so we still stay in contact. It's great to, continue those relationships with volunteers and locals and beyond. So you never know how that stuff comes back around. So if you feel any apprehension about language, trust me, you'll be fine. They'll get you to a point where you can be successful and accomplish, probably things that you didn't even expect. So my last advice is, step out your comfort zone. Why not live your life to the fullest? Push yourself, try something different. And with that, I'll close. That's my piece.
Thank you so much, Drake, for sharing your experience. Now let's turn to Return Peace Corps volunteer, Marta Van Camp.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see some familiar faces and names here. Yeah, I was a volunteer at K11 from 2003 to 2005 in a pretty small town in the Jalalabad Oblast. And, I'm kind of building off a question that I answered earlier, or tried to. I lived with the host family by choice for the whole 2 years, and it was such a really amazing, rewarding experience for me. For me, the experience of living with a host family allowed me way more connections in my community and sort of a place in my community. And I've maintained those to this day. So I was fortunate enough, a few years later, I went back to Kyrgyzstan and lived for another 2+ years on a USAID project and worked there. And I've continued to go back and maintain those connections. And I still keep in touch with my my host family. Actually, my host sister and her husband came to visit me in the US. I'm in DC. We went all over the US together in 2019. I still talk to my host family all the time. As well as you know, friends in my community and people that I've worked with, colleagues. But yeah, the connections I made in Peace Corps really allowed me to be a part of my community. And you know, the 2 years of seeing people every day and having the sort of the family aspect of living with a host family allowed me a lot more connections that I've been able to maintain. So you know, career-wise, it's also, you know, I loved what Drake was saying. It's I studied Russian and taught in a Russian school, and it was a really important aspect of my career development. And I've sort of stayed working in the international development space, and that was pretty much all thanks to Peace Corps. And I'll just say that to this day, my experience with Peace Corps in Kyrgyzstan has shaped my career and been the source of some of my closest friends and colleagues in my life. So it's an amazing experience, and you will carry it with you forever. And you know, this community here, there's so many familiar faces and names here. It's always with you, no matter how long. It's been 20 years since I served, so it's still there. It's still fresh. So thank you.
Martha, thank you. Thank you for the story. Now I want to turn to a special RPCV guest and musical guest, Noah Bratcher. Over to you, Noah.
All right. Hello. So I served as a Peace Corps volunteer in the Osh region. I was part of that group that had to return due to the pandemic. But I came back to Kyrgyzstan in September 2021. I'm here right now in Osh City because I felt like I hadn't completed my time here. And like I think a lot of the others who were evacuated, we all kind of expected to come back in 3 months. Then it became 6 months, then it became a year and a year and a half. So when I came back, I opened my own English course. Within 1 year, we have locations in 4 cities. We have 650 students, 30 employees. We're opening 3 new locations by the end of the year, all around the south of Kyrgyzstan. And I want to point out that this success would not have been possible without the Peace Corps experience. You know, there's a lot of foreigners who come here to teach in international schools in Bishkek or whatever. And they never gain this deep understanding of mentality. They're never building these deep relationships, language skills, cultural understanding that help me to navigate all the challenges that come with opening a business in this country and going through all that. So I will be eternally grateful to Peace Corps for giving me what I need to make that happen. So I've been asked to play Komos. I'm a little rusty. I haven't been practicing much recently, but I'll give it a try. Let's see. Okay.
Wow. Thank you, Noah. That is fantastic. Amazing. Thanks so much. Over to you, Ayselu.
Inviting me.
Thank you so much, Hoyt. Noah, the performance was great. Now I am inviting K26 return Peace Corps volunteer Risa Matsumaro, who was famous for her near fluent Kyrgyz. Risa, over to you.
Hi y'all, my name is Risa. I kind of want to talk about my experience of whenever you go to any foreign country, but especially as a Peace Corps volunteer, realizing that it's really important to get to know your community members, gain their respect, and then from there figure out what it is they need. I was in Atbasha in the Naren Oblast, and I went in totally thinking that all of my ideas were grand and amazing and everyone was going to be on board with it, only to realize that that was more of my ego and that was what I wanted to accomplish, and it wasn't anything related to what my village actually needed from me. And so when it came around to the grant writing process, I was kind of the more tail end, and so I didn't write my grant until like closer to the end of my service. And a big reason for that was because I wanted to make sure that what I was providing for the community was sustainable, and it wasn't just something that I presented to them and then I left the country and then they could never use those resources again. And so my biggest learning experience from my Peace Corps service is really understanding what it is that the community needs, and not worrying so much about what you want. And naturally, if you ask the community members what they need, you're going to be able to meet halfway. And that way your grants and your efforts become sustainable. A unique story that I have is my friend, while I was serving in the Peace Corps, my friends back in America saw that I was building homemade ice skating rinks, hockey rinks with my uncle, my Kyrgyz uncle. And so then my friends and family in America, they fundraise money, send it to me, and then we went out and bought hockey gear and equipment, and then we gave it out to my uncle's village, and we were able to host hockey camps, and we encouraged girls to play, and we kind of went around different areas of Naren and taught hockey camps. And because of that experience, I now play hockey in my community. It's just like a fun rec league, but if it wasn't for Kyrgyzstan, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to find that experience. And then kind of going back to the question that someone asked about housing experience, I found that when I moved with my host family after PSD, I found that I really wanted to close my doors and hang out with myself and text all the other PCVs and the other volunteers. But those are the moments when you should open your door, hang out with your host family, hang out with your mom and dad, even if you aren't able to fully communicate with them. Those are the moments that are really going to go a long way. Every time that I felt like I wanted to be by myself, I opened up my door and I tried to ask my mom, my host mom, things that I can help out with around the house, or even just asking my dad if I can watch him as he welded stuff. And that went a long way because my host family realized that I was really trying to get to know them. You don't have to be fluent in Kyrgyz to be able to feel a connection with someone. So I just encourage, if you do serve, regardless of where you go, anytime that you feel like you want to go into your room, make sure you open up the doors and really push yourself to spend time with your host family, because your host family ends up protecting you and loving you and really taking you in. So yeah, that's kind of my experience. If anyone has questions, feel free to message me. I'm happy to give out my email and just talk outside of this. So thank you so much.
Risa, that was awesome. Thank you so much for the story and the photos. We do have a couple more presenters, but we're down to the wire. And I wanted to give time to our virtual recruiter, Carol Ann Reed, who's graciously agreed to be with us. Carol, let me turn over to you. And if we have some time at the end for our last presenters, we'll do it. But over to you, Carol, for any Q's and A's or anything you want to say.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This has been amazing. And the Q&A is pretty much, we've answered all of them in the box. And the last question that we had, the last panelist just addressed it about housing. But what I do want to say is connect with the recruiter. We're more than happy to assist you on your journey in applying. I remember you had so many hands that were raised at the beginning who are interested in applying. And so I'm going to put it in the chat. You can go to our Connect with the Recruiter page. All you have to do is put in your zip code, and that zip code, you'll see it right there on the slide up there, will take you directly to your local recruiter. We have over 50 recruiters all around the world just waiting to assist you on your Peace Corps journey. So go to Connect with the Recruiter, put in your zip code, and you will connect with your local recruiter. Or you can reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to make you apply now. As someone said earlier, apply now to go in 2024 to Kyrgyz. I might be looking at going myself. So again, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Carol. And with our remaining minutes, I want to let some of our other presenters go. But if you do have questions for Carol, please put them in the Q&A box. So Isulu, who should we go to next? Should we do Brendan?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, 1 second.
What's up, everybody? My name is Brendan. I'm part of the K-28 cohort to Kyrgyzstan. I was asked to talk a little bit about connection. I have to say I really appreciate those that are in my life out here. There's one other volunteer in my oblast.
I think we're having some sound problems. Hey, Isli, why don't we go to Sultanat? Sultanat, are you with us? You're on, Sultanat. Go ahead.
Let me share my picture. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, so this is me. Hi, my name is Sultanat. I'm a regional manager at Peace Corps, Kyrgyz Republic. So I want to quickly share about my story. So my story is just one of 100 stories from students from Kyrgyzstan whose lives were greatly impacted by Peace Corps volunteers. I lived in a small village, Atbashi, that Risa served in. And when a Peace Corps volunteer, Miss Jennifer, came to our school, it was 22 years ago. So at the time we had no internet, computers, or mobile phones. So seeing an American in our village was like seeing an alien from another world. But my curiosity and interest in learning English prompted to join Miss Jennifer's English club. And so that opportunity gave me a chance to become an exchange program finalist, to go to the United States and spend 1 academic year in high school in South Dakota, Aberdeen. And this is, okay, so you see the timeline from August to February. I've been eating this wonderful popcorn and soda and American food and gained some weight. And this is my volunteer, Miss Jennifer, who traveled all the way from New Jersey to visit me in South Dakota. So at the time, I didn't realize that she made so far just to see me. And it was an honor to see her there and support and see her support. And I just want to share this last picture. So this is visual impact of Peace Corps on students, on teachers, on community members. Sometimes our volunteers think that they're not making like a huge impact, that like students are not interested, but the impact comes over time. So 20 years later, I am here working for Peace Corps, traveling around Kyrgyzstan and also inspiring students to take the advantage of having a volunteer in the village and change their life and make a better future for them.
Well, thank you, Sultanat. That was wonderful. We have Andy Craver, who just joined a little bit late. Andy, we're almost out of time, but would you unmute yourself and just say a few words before we close? We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm late. I got Eastern and Central mixed up. I apologize. Yeah, so I was a volunteer. I was a K-12. I was a volunteer from 2004 to 2006. And I lived in a little town called, it's actually not such a little town. It's Kızılsu and Isikul, in Jediyoguz Ryan. And so I lived there. And then I went back in 2009 to do my field work for my master's. I was a Peace Corps fellow at the University of Missouri. So that's another great opportunity that was afforded to me because of the Peace Corps. But I really loved living in my town. There's about 15,000 people. I had a great host family and a really great setup where I lived in a Vremyanka, and they lived in their own house. And I hung out with my family a lot, but had my own kind of space. But I'd love to go to the bazaar in my town, because we had this great bazaar where like there was ashlan food, there was like lagman, there was like the great little like noodle stalls and things, and that was just such an amazing way to like talk to people and to see the economy of like this little town, to see like what people were buying and selling and how they were doing it. and to ask all sorts of questions about like, how are you guys all selling the same thing, but you're making a profit, and like talking to cab drivers, and like the economic center of this town was just such a great, I don't know, just a great window into society and a great way to understand kind of the context of Kyrgyzstan in a sort of post-Soviet world back then, And yeah, I think about it all the time. I would love to go. When these rats are a little older, we'll take them and we'll go back.
Thanks, Andy. We're counting on those little rats becoming volunteers. So thanks for introducing them.
Yeah.
We're gonna close now with a video. Aisulu. I just want to thank everyone who's joined the webinar. I want to thank our presenters and all of you who participated. Sorry we didn't get a chance to talk to all of you, but thanks for your questions and keep in touch with us. If you like us, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And if you love us, please come join us. Thanks so much, all of you. See you again soon.